Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Critical Reactions with your host, Bryan. Today we're going to be doing a special selection, and that means that one of you guys gets to pick exactly what you want me to check out. Today's selection comes at us from Nick Alt, The Salesman, the Husband, the Lover, by the receiving end of Sirens. So that's what we're going to check out today. And let's get into it. Sounds like the song prior actually transitions into this one. Either that or it's a very energetic but quickly diminishing beginning.
Baby boy had a big old heart, large enough to tear apart, split evenly in two. Mom and dad had a rocky start, too much head, too little heart, so one turned into two. 1, 2. Dirty hands with separate beds and folded sheets in which they slept. Oh, what's a boy to do? What's a boy to do? Daddy finds $1 whores and liquor stores can offer more than his family, more than his friends.
Yeah, nice, very intimate opening. Yeah, I'm loving how the bass is driving a lot of this forward while the other instruments are allowed to build the atmosphere and tension of it. Really cool dissonance going on here on the left side, which allows the listener to really focus in on the dual vocal lines that are going on. Still soaking in the tension of the dissonance without really noticing it's there sometimes, maybe. Ooh. What an interesting mix. It's a little weighted to the right side and feels a bit anemic. Yeah, I like that rhythmic element in the drums that tends to accent before the previous bar, and it makes the second bar and the pattern feel like it comes in a bit early. It's a bit disjointed, but it's still 4/4. Yeah, the stick clicks that went into this march section, and once again utilizing dissonance of the texture. They really like to work with atmospheric elements, especially as transitory sections of the song. Interesting melody of phrasing. He spends so much time dancing around a single note that when he hits that higher note and comes back down, it's really strong. It really puts some emphasis on that word itself. Yes, so some really cool counterpoint there into another ambient transition, I assume, into the outro. Or this is the outro. It reminds me of the intro, actually. I don't know how close it is, but atmospherically it reminds me of the intro. Although there is these elements of like dissonance being worked into here as well. Yeah, so the first thing that I have a lot of questions this week. Usually I'm explaining a lot more than this, but there are a lot of songs this week, I guess, that I've had questions going into, or coming out of. This is a song that makes me wonder if there's a lot of musical cohesion between all of the sections, because on paper the atmospheric transition sections are sonically very different from the emo, punk rock, whatever you want to call the rock sections of the song. There's just a drastic difference between the sonic landscapes of the sections, as well as the atmosphere and the tones being used, but the song doesn't feel disconnected despite constantly jumping between these two very different ideas. We basically get some standard, emo pop rock stuff, and then this, atmospheric transition section, which usually consists of maybe some synthy elements and some strings, maybe some pads, and then we go back to the pop rock, and then the atmospheric, and then the pop rock, and we kind of combine them there at the end, which helps provide a little bit of cohesion to the song, but it comes at the end of the track, which doesn't help any sort of cohesiveness appear in the middle, at least on a first listen. So it makes me wonder if there's a lot of musical elements underneath. Maybe note choices against chordal works, or chord progressions that are being utilized throughout. Just an overall musical sound that ties it all together. Because, like I said, it should sound disjointed, and it really doesn't. However, I do think, now that I'm talking it through, a lot of it might also have to do with the melodic shapes and the ranges and pitches chosen. A lot of the song does sit around the same pitch, in the same range. And it really only is a timbre difference. And it is a very big timbre difference, but I guess the change between the two is really not that large when you start looking at, you know, the tones themselves. I do feel like they're very different sections, and I view them separately when I think about them. But I guess there's more similarity there than I give them credit for. And if there is musical similarity there as well, that adds to why the song doesn't feel so disjointed, at least to me. I really love this though. This is an emo pop rock ballad type of thing, but it has a nice little edge to it with the atmospheric instrumental sections, and I'm a sucker for both of those. I love songs with timbres in them, lots of timbres. I mean, every song has timbres, but I love songs with lots of them. I've talked about that many times in the past. I love songs that include lots of different voices. I think it will almost always benefit a song unless the song is specifically aiming for a theme about unity or singularity or isolation or something that represents a small number of. I think, though, most of the time, more instruments, utilized well, of course, is going to improve a song on the basis that it's like adding more spices to a soup. It's more flavors, more colors that can be added. It's like painting with 3 colors versus 20. You still got to know how to use them. I'm not saying it just makes it better by mere presence. It's still tools in a toolbox. You can get a beautiful, evocative song out of one instrument, and you can get a complete mess of a song out of 20 or 50. You still have to know how to use the tools you're working with. But I think a capable composer is going to create, I don't want to say a better work, because I really don't want to just lay this down as a blanket term. I will put it this way. I prefer music with more color in it, more texture, more voices. I prefer having more flavors in my soup. um, and I think music like this, even though it does end up feeling a little disjointed to me because they are so rarely implemented together, it just really hits those buttons. The reasons why I like big band and you know, classical music, anything that's really focused around an orchestra with many different instrument families. You get all those different timbres coming together. I love that. And music like this is really, I think, the closest that you could get to that style of writing while still having that mainstream element to it. So this is just a really fine middle ground for me. I'm naturally acclimated to enjoy stuff like this on that basis. And I grew up on a lot of emo music as a teenager, so this kind of hits that teenage me musical interests outside of jazz and classical. The vocalist, the way that the melody lines are written, the way the guitars work with the vocals, the multiple vocal lines, the layering, all the emo pop rock stuff, the whole song just seems really tailored towards me. So yeah, I'm bound to just really enjoy this. Now let's get into some of the musical aspects here. I do think it is really interesting that a song that is so palatable, I gorgeous in a sense. There's a lot of beauty, traditional beauty in this song as far as music goes. The way that the melodies are written, the way that the melodies are written against harmonies, the way that the melody is written against chords, the way the harmonies are written, the way that the different instruments play off of each other and create rich sounds. I think it all comes across as typically beautiful music. However, there is this tinge of not beauty hidden under the surface. Sometimes we hear it in chordal stuff, sometimes we hear it in harmonies, sometimes we hear it in other parts, like during the chorusy section. There is a guitar panned left that is playing real hard with dissonance. It reminds me a lot of a very muted, withheld Mars Volta idea of creating a very palatable sound and then pairing it with distortion, or sorry, with dissonance. Mars Volta tends to bring dissonance to the forefront. This song really pushes the dissonance down. I mentioned that it fits well in the idea of presenting the dissonance, the tension in the atmosphere of the song without really making it front and center. You can still easily focus on the vocal harmonies and the dual vocal sections and the way the guitar and strings. I don't remember. Maybe it was guitar and synth. What they're all doing, you really don't have to pay attention to it. It's left pan, so it's not even getting center attention, and it's not super loud. I don't think it's unnoticeable, but it does not call your attention. You really have to look at it and look for it, at least on a first listen, at least for me. And I think that it's a beautiful way to do it because it allows the song to retain the element of beauty while incorporating the essence of dissonance, of that tension, of that something's not right brewing just under the surface concept. And I love that. I think that is the most on the nose example of it in this song. There's a couple of other places where it just kind of blends it into a lot of the other stuff that's going on, especially at the ending. There is a lot going on at the end, and we have vocals, harmonies, we have two vocal parts going on, we have a guitar and synth that are doing a third, less complex melody line than the vocals. The drums are going on, and there is this hint of dissonance, of tension, that really it colors the atmosphere without becoming the atmosphere. Once again, I think you really have to go out of your way to look for it, but I think anybody can feel it. Its presence is in the atmosphere, the atmospheric work of the song. Even if you don't directly hear it, you can feel the tension underneath the beauty. And I think they just do such a great job of towing that line, keeping the song very palatable while also introducing these ideas of instability and really emphasizing that concept of the instability being just beneath the surface. You can feel it, but you can't see it. You know it's there. It just hasn't presented itself yet. And like I said, they just do a fantastic job of that, start to finish. Great stuff. The vocal harmonies, I've talked about a couple of times. I love them. I especially love when they split. There was one, and the thing is that you never really know when they're going to split, when they're going to go into counterpoint, when they're going to harmonize, when they're going to do call and response. It seems to be random. Obviously, it's not random. On a first time listen, though, I never can, there doesn't seem to be any foreshadowing of when it's going to happen. Sometimes you get the doubling up effect. Sometimes they split off. Sometimes they come back together. It's fascinating. Sometimes they don't even work within standard 4 or 8 bar phrasings. There's one part at the end where they do 2 back and forths. So you get voice 1, voice 2, voice 1, voice 2, and then it's just voice 1 for the rest of it. And I mean, it's still 4 chunks, but I mean, it's not a full pattern. It's not a full 4 bar pattern or a full 8 bar pattern, or whatever they're working in. It really caught me off guard because I figured that the next repetition which would be bar 5 through 8, we would do it again, but we didn't. Bars 5 and 6 were just the single voice again without the back and forth. And it's little elements like that that keep me on my toes because, like I said, I never know where the vocals are going, and I just really enjoy that. It adds a little bit more of that instability element to the song. I don't know what's going on in the song, and I think that's wonderful, especially for a song that seems to be on the surface very beautiful and complete and sure of itself. And there's a lot of uncertainty baked into the song, but also baked into the atmosphere. Now, I don't know what the lyrics are. I can't tie all this into the song, unfortunately. But I do really like these themes of tension, I suppose. We have tension baked into the song structure, in that the song doesn't cleanly flow from one idea to the next. There doesn't even seem to be any set bar lengths for each of the sections. Some of them are longer, some of them are shorter. And we jump back and forth between these two seemingly different ideas of the atmospheric work and then the vocal pop rock emo stuff. So there's instability there. There's instability in the atmosphere. There's constantly including ideas that include tension or uncertainty into the music. Dissonance pops up left and right in a song that is otherwise very beautiful and palatable. And I kind of love how sneaky the song is in all of those ways of just, pushing in little pieces of this dissonance or, uncharacteristic, unnatural, not unnatural, just non-standard elements. The dissonance, the unpredictability of how the vocals work, how the dual vocals work, the way that the song changes up between these ideas. I love it all. It keeps me on my toes, and as usual, I'm a sucker for that kind of novelty. I'm a sucker for any song that's going to keep me on my toes and make me, second guess what's going to happen. It's not always great for a subsequent listen, but for a reaction, I think it's real perfect for that kind of environment. So those are my thoughts on the receiving end of Sirens, the salesman, the husband, the lover. Who suggested this one? Because I need a little bit more context here. Nick. All right. If you could hit me up with a comment, Nick, if you're still around. Or anybody who knows. Some context here, maybe what the lyrics are, or what the song is about even. Maybe I can tie some of these themes into the lyrical content. That would be pretty awesome, because I am interested in especially the dual vocals. Why are the dual vocals used when they're used? Why are they not used when they're not? Is this about someone specific, or is this, just a story that they created for, the album, or is this personal? These are kind of questions I have about the song itself. When you're done commenting, though, you can head up to the description box. There's a link in there for a link tree, all sorts of links related to the channel, such as Patreon, Discord, Twitter, or to submit your own special selection. Above that, I'd appreciate it if you could like, subscribe, and ring the bell. I'll be back tomorrow at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 10 p.m. UTC. Nope. It's going to be one of those outros. I am a little tired here. Tomorrow I'll be back at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 9 p.m. UTC. We're going to be looking at another special selection. And then we're going to be looking at another post-punk song. And then after that, there'll be something. Maybe a special selection, maybe something from the inbox, maybe I see something in the comments that interests me. I don't know. Bonus videos after every themed one. All week. Forever. Now and forever. Maybe not forever. Things can always change. But for now, at least. for the undisclosed future. That's what we're doing. Until next time, remember to be critical, not cynical of the music you listen to. And have a fantastic morning, afternoon, or evening whenever you choose to watch my videos.